Hi, I'm Ray Hager, subbing for Sam Shadden, and welcome to an all-new edition of Nevada Newsmakers. Today's guest is Brian Duggan. He's the executive editor of the Reno Gazette-Journal, and we're going to be talking about the RGJ's impending move with the sale of their building near downtown Reno. That's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
From your house to the White House, the folks at D&D Roofing can get it fixed with their eyes closed.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Hi, welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. Our guest today is Brian Duggan. He's the executive editor of the Reno Gazette-Journal. And just for disclosure, I'm a retiree from the Reno Gazette-Journal, worked there for over 30 years. And I worked for Brian and with Brian during my time there. So welcome to you, Brian.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me here, Ray.
Yeah, this will be very interesting. First off, I want to talk to you about what's in the news about the RGJ as the pending sale of the Reno Gazette-Journal building on 955 Coonsley to the Reno Police Department. Can you maybe, is that a done deal yet?
It's not a done deal yet. There's still some, the city still has to make some movements, but I know about as much as the public knows. I saw it on the agenda. We have real estate folks for Gannett who are handling this sale for us. So we're kind of watching this play out in the newsroom in real time. So that the fact that the city wants to buy the building, this is probably the closest we've come to actually selling the place since we put the building on the market roughly 2 to 3 years ago. It's a tough place to sell, and so the fact that this has gotten that close means that we are now actively looking for a new place to go as well. As I'm sure you know, Ray, that building was built in 1981. It's about 87,000 square feet, but it was built for a different time. It was built for a newspaper that, a media environment that frankly just doesn't exist anymore. We are a digital operation, and we need something that will better suit, where we're taking the news organization. So we're looking for places actively right now in downtown Reno and Midtown. Hopefully we'll have something to announce sooner than later, but it's a process in real estate. I'm learning a lot as we go.
Well, when the building first opened, I was on the RGJ sports staff back then, and I remember it well. And one of the reasons why that location was chosen is because you could get all the trucks out on the freeway very quickly because it was close to freeway on-ramps and off-ramps on both north, south, and east, west. It was a prime location back then. But as you said, that's no longer the media of today.
Yeah, it's taking this job, and I just, I've been at the RGJ now since 2011. I started there, for your viewers who don't know, I started there as a City Hall reporter, and worked my way up into become the investigations editor. Worked closely with you, covering politics over the years. And so for the last, since I was named the executive editor in January, the news organization has gone through a really dramatic shift in just the last couple of years. With the rise of the USA Today network, which we are a member of, so much of our focus now is digital. The print newspaper, while it's still an incredibly important part of our business, and there are still thousands of people, tens of thousands of people in the community who still read it in print, the fact of the matter is, across local media, the future isn't going to be on printed newspaper. The future will be how people get their news on things like this. And so the biggest challenge for us as a news organization is finding out, well, how can we grow our audience digitally, and how can we attract people to subscribe to our news organization? What kind of journalism can we do that will really communicate to our community here in Reno Sparks that what we're writing about matters, and it's not just going to be commodity journalism. It's going to be stuff that it's not just good storytelling, but meaningful investigations, meaningful reporting that actually makes a difference. And we think there's still a bright future ahead for journalism. It's clearly in demand. People want it. It's just things are changing, and I think society in general is coming to terms with this monumental shift in local media. And this is happening across the country, not just here in Reno. It's true everywhere right now. So.
Well, I can remember a big shift back in 2006, 2007. Not only was the Gazette-Journal hit with the recession, but also they were hit with the online want ads, Craigslist and what have you, is because, as you know, the Gazette-Journal used to make a lot of money off of want ads, especially for houses. The housing market was very important to the health of the newspaper. But now, since 2004, 2,000 newspapers have ceased publication in our state. And what was the thing as you look back? What was it the Craigslist stuff that killed the print product, or was it the iPhone? Or was there anything?
It's a mixture of a lot of things, I think. The industry, built up quite, it was a very large industry, in the early aughts. That was its peak. And ever since, the advent of, Craigslist and things like that, sure, that plays a role in what happened. And of course, classified advertising was an incredibly important part of a local newspaper's revenue source. But things have changed. The internet democratized advertising. Local advertisers are no longer bound to come to the local paper to get their own message out. So things have fragmented, and that's happened across the media landscape, and it's hurt in particularly local newspapers the most in some ways, because national publications like the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, they have a different business model. They reach an international audience. They're much. It's a economies of scale, right? Local papers have had to try to refigure out the entire thing. And in a lot of ways, the way I think about working for the Reno Gazette-Journal is I'm working for a startup now. We're starting over. We're really rethinking how the organization works, and that's true with how the USA Today network has come into play. That we are a part of a larger organization that covers, we're covering everything out west right now. I have a reporter going down to Hawthorne as we speak to go cover the Gilroy shooting. Apparently the shooter has an address tied to that, location. So it's how can we build out, economies of scale for local media? How can we grow our digital audience? That's where the future is going to be.
Okay, let's take a break right here. I wanted to talk to you next about your legal battle, I guess you could say, with the Washoe County School District when it comes to transparency We'll be right back with more with Executive Editor Brian Duggan of the Reno Gazette-Journal.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia.
Yeah.
Because of UMC, I'm putting my free time to good use.
Because of UMC, she keeps me on my toes.
Because of UMC and this guy, I'm here.
UMC, the highest level of care in Nevada.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Hi, welcome back to Nevada Newsmakers. Our guest today is Brian Duggan, the executive editor of the Reno Gazette-Journal. Brian, I wanted to talk to you a bit about your ongoing battle with the Washoe County School District to access public records. Now, you've put in public records requests on many things, but the school district says that to give you those, they're going to need $22,000 from the RGJ to pay for the extra work that their staff will be required to do to access those public records. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's an outlandish figure on the surface of it.
Oh yeah, of course. So just to back up, we made those requests in the wake of Tracy Davis's, the former superintendent for the school district's ouster back in June. We wanted to see how the upper echelon of the leadership at the school district were communicating with each other. And so we made a request for emails going back a few months. In return, we got a response back from the school district that it would cost that large sum basically to redact the appropriate messages for them to deliver it to us. This isn't uncommon in public records fights in Nevada. It's unfortunate that it happens. If we had our druthers, public records would always be the actual cost of what a public record should be, which is literally the paper and ink that it takes to produce the record, or maybe just the electrons that it took to actually send it to you via email. And I'm hoping that with the passage of Senate Bill 287 in the last legislature, a pretty significant reform to public records law in Nevada, it'll go into effect on October 1. My hope is, with that coming into play, that will sort of change the playing field for, members of the public, including journalists, getting access to public records. But in the meantime, we're still working under current Nevada law. It hasn't changed yet because it hasn't become official until it goes into effect on October 1. So we're sort of in this waiting period. We have an attorney who is very active right now and working with us to do the right thing, which is getting access to public records that we think people should know about. People should know how the leaders of a school district are communicating between each other, especially when something as monumental as the ousting of a superintendent takes place. Transparency matters in these situations. This isn't the only records fight that we've had with the school district either. Right. We've been trying to get access to the underlying documents of this external investigation that the school district undertook after its 2 top administrators for the special education department were put on leave, and one was ultimately fired because of it, Jenny Ritchie Hunt and Byron Green. And this external firm, Solutions at Work, it's a third-party firm that comes in and does workplace investigations, and they produced a big report that really ties into a lot of issues related to special education, to how the district is being managed. It relates to how these top 2 administrators were dealing with principals in the district. So we know these basic facts, but we don't know actually what was happening. And so it's been more than a year of going back and forth with the school district to get access to these records. We are currently reviewing. We won at the Supreme Court to get access to it, and so the next step now is a judge has asked the school district to give our attorney access to the records unredacted, with the understanding that our attorney will do a complete analysis of it. The newsroom will be left out of this process, according to what the judge's ruling said. And once we determine, these things shouldn't be redacted, we should get access to it, we'll have to go back to the judge and say, hey, can you make these public? So that's where we're at right now with that fight.
Okay, I used to cover this school district for the newspaper back in 2004, and it seems that over time it's really good. The Washoe County School District and the RGJ, and I think all media, from the Reno News and Review to Channel 4, they have really developed an adversarial relationship with the local media. Do you see it that way?
Well, yeah. I mean, it'd be hard not to say that it's been adversarial at times. I do think people want to work toward accountability and transparency. I don't want to paint with a broad brush with everyone in the school district that they are against transparency. But I will say that the actions of the school district over time, especially from their legal opinions about what should be public and what shouldn't be, or what to redact and what not to redact, has created this relationship that sometimes and often between journalism and government institutions, that we're there to be a watchdog. Right. That's our role, and we make no apologies about that. And I think at some point the truth does come out, but it sometimes takes a process, and I'm pretty hopeful that we'll be successful in it.
Okay, well, good luck to you, Brian. Let's take another break, and we'll come back for the last segment.
Sure.
We'll be right back with Brian Duggan, the executive editor of the Reno Gazette-Journal, after these few words.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
One of the most psychologically damaging things parents can do to children in divorce is disparage one another, which is why I can't believe I even have to make this commercial. Half of your kids' genetics come from this person you're spewing hate about. Your children have the right to love you both, but more than that, they deserve to love themselves.
Marilyn York might be a men's rights divorce attorney, but this is for every selfish parent. Shut up!
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids. But they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Hi, welcome back. We're here today on Nevada Newsmakers with Brian Duggan, the executive editor of the Reno Gazette-Journal. Brian, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your staffing. You have very few people when compared to before.
Sure.
You have a full-time reporter now in Las Vegas, is that correct?
That is true, yeah.
Okay. Why have a full-time reporter in Las Vegas when so many things in Reno and Sparks still go uncovered? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't have a full-time presence in Sparks government. Is that correct?
Well, we have a full-time government reporter with Anjanette Damon and James DeHaven, and they both cover local and state government.
But you're not at the Sparks City Council all the time.
Yeah, so the idea is, and this was becoming true when even you were there, we were moving to a model where we don't want to be people writing 14-inch stories about every single thing that happened at a city council meeting, because we know from an audience perspective that most items that a city council will consider on any given week will not be, our digital audience will not respond to it. We do know, though, that approaching journalism from an issue-based standpoint does better. So we know, for example, that covering Reno City Hall from negotiations with a particular union, or covering state government from a perspective of issues that affect people as opposed to the machinations of what government does each and every single day. It's better to put things into context from an audience perspective. How can you make someone understand an issue as opposed to trying to just cover every single thing a government does? It becomes white noise after a while.
Right, but in respect to Sparks, it seems like very little gets covered, and it's almost like they're operating under a cloak of secrecy. I don't know if that's the case, because we never hear anything.
Sure, yeah, and it's not to say that Sparks isn't getting covered. It does on merits, I'd be lying if I said I wish we didn't have more coverage of all of these institutions. To address the Las Vegas reporter directly, it's a strategy, to be frank, to grow digital audience. Again, we're part of the USA Today network, so a good way to think about how Reno plays in the local community is, we are sort of a node in this larger organization that it's the Arizona Republic, it's the Redding, California paper, it's papers in like the Desert Sun in Palm Springs. We are a Western hub, and we're trying to cover the West better than anyone else. And we think we can do it because we have reporters on the ground everywhere. We just have a reporter who was hired in Sacramento, for example. She's actually reporting to the Desert Sun paper in Palm Springs. So Ed Commenda down in Las Vegas, he's doing Nevada-centric news, or Las Vegas coverage that has not just residents up here in Reno, but residents for the West or for the nation. And it's sort of a hard truth about the future of local media. If we're going to grow as an organization, if we're going to remain sustainable and to keep the Anjanette Damons and the Siobhan McAndrews and the Jason Hidalgos doing good investigative work in our community, we need to grow our digital audience. It's just a hard truth. Las Vegas is directly tied to that strategy. So it's not to say that Sparks doesn't matter. It's not to say that nothing happens in Sparks. But when news does happen, we'll be there. When it's important enough when we can say, yeah, I think there's an audience for that story or for that issue, we will dig into it. And I honestly welcome back any feedback about coverage in Sparks.
Okay, please. I just think that we don't know what's going on in Sparks.
Sure.
Because moving on to another subject. The last day I worked at the Reno Gazette-Journal before I retired, it was the first day Donald Trump visited the area on his presidential campaign.
Sure.
And since I've retired, I've really seen a totally different perspective, or I see a different way politics is covered. It seems it's meaner and it's more divisive, and it's you know, it's covering stories about, you know, Trump insulting this person, and it trickles, all that stuff kind of trickles down. How has covering politics changed since Donald Trump came on the scene?
Well, I mean, yeah, I would agree that the cycle has not only gotten meaner, but it's gotten faster. There's more happening all the time. You know, we often try to approach political coverage in Nevada. You know, we're not going to go after the tit for tat. You know, Trump says something crazy on Twitter, and then immediately do a story on that. You know, national outlets will probably try to do that. Honestly, from a personal perspective, from a journalistic perspective, I don't think that gets anyone closer to the truth. And Twitter is often it's a funhouse mirror. It's not reality. What is reality is actually covering people who are being affected by government each and every day. That's where political coverage should go. And I think there's an increasing awareness of the futility of covering Twitter feuds. It's ridiculous. It's not news. What is news is actually people being affected on the ground.
Okay. Got to stop it right there. Thank you, Brian. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ray.
We'll be right back to wrap up this session of Nevada Newsmakers right after this.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
St. Ives Florist, for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada. And we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lorianne, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Thanks for watching. Just a note, you can watch all of the shows on NevadaNewsmakers.com and also on YouTube. You can also catch a lot of stories that I have written about the interviews also on NevadaNewsmakers.com. Thank you.